I used to do it. I started with a series called Miss Busted, and it was basically all these people had these preconceived ideas about real estate and
Mm.
based on what the news is telling them. And so we busted those myths for about a year and a half. I actually dressed up like Sherlock Holmes. It was comical and
Oh,
probably
look at
really
you.
bad. And we do a lot of stuff like that all the time. Um,
hmm My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is the closing table where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back to the closing table. I go by the name of Kevin McIntosh, and joining us on this very special episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with Teresa Cowart. How you doing, Teresa?
Great, great.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, taking time out of your busy schedule today to talk to us. Before we even get started into your career and experience, let's start off with a word association game. I'm going to
Okay,
throw out words and or terms associated with real estate. You
okay.
just throw out the first word or phrase or sentence that comes to your mind in regards to it. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
First one, deed.
Ownership,
Good. Title insurance.
necessary.
Mhm. Escrow.
Savings account,
Mhm. Rent.
useless.
And home equity loan.
Scary.
Interesting. Okay, nice. All right, so that gives us a little bit of insight into how you think in regards to certain things. Now let's get straight into it. Teresa, I see you've been involved in real estate, what, going on 20 years since 2004, is that correct?
Yes, almost 20 years.
Amazing. First off, got to applaud that,
Thank
respect
you.
that, the longevity. So what is something about your career that you wish you could have done different, if anything at all?
I would have started taking my business a little bit more seriously in the
Mm,
beginning. What I mean by that, I was very serious about it. But what I mean by that is tracking and measuring, and
okay.
actually seeing what works, what doesn't work. Like I wasted a lot of money in the early days.
Yeah, yeah. I bet when we all look back at some things, just wish you would have took it a little bit more serious or put a little bit more into it. That's
Yep.
I,
Yep.
I probably can attest to that too. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Teresa, you also you take out your time to do different video series also. The one thing that I see, Teresa on the Town series
Hmm. Hmm.
highlights local businesses in your market. I think is a great idea, but can you explain to our audience how that adds value to your brand?
When I used to do it, I started with a series called Miss Busted, and it was basically all these people had these preconceived ideas about real estate and
Mm.
based on what the news is telling them. And so we busted those myths for about a year and a half. I actually dressed up like Sherlock Holmes. It was comical and
Oh,
probably
look at
really
you.
bad. And we do a lot of stuff like that all the time. Um,
Hmm.
as far as educating the our clients and the public. But one of my friends in Texas, because I'm part of this huge real estate network, and one of my friends in Texas did a series about restaurants in his
Mm.
area, and I thought that's really cool because you're talking about your town, you're educating the public about the things to do in your area, the places to eat in his case. But you're also giving back because you're helping these smaller businesses get a little bit more traction.
Correct.
A lot of them don't do a lot of social media or don't do a lot of advertising, and as real estate professionals, we do a lot. So
Mm.
I started doing it, and we have to like start the sentence with, "This doesn't cost you a dime," when we call them, because they always think that we're trying to sell something and we're not.
Correct. Yeah.
And I don't really talk a lot about real estate or the team or any of that stuff. Really the only thing I say is it's Teresa Cowart with Remax Accent and Teresa Cowart team, another episode of Teresa on the Town. And then we really let that business owner or whoever they choose tell us about their baby. Like where did
Mm.
this come from? How did it start? And it's not restaurants, although sometimes it is, but it's just whoever we feel like needs or would be appreciative of us coming to do this with them. And it
Yeah.
does help our clients. We have a huge following with Teresa on the Town, and
Mhm.
they it's kind of a give back. It's I don't want nothing from you,
Yeah.
and it's just a give back. And then they share it. The clients share it. The people who work there share it
Mhm.
because we try to involve a lot of people, and it gets tagged and it gets thrown around a lot. So it does help us indirectly, but
There it
really
is.
it was a way to kind of give back and just do something that was a little bit different because how many times do you see some realtor doing a video or whatever, and you're like, good lord, if I have to listen to that one more time. So let's just put a different spin on it. So
Right, right.
that's just what we decided to do, and it's worked well. It's worked really well.
Love it. I would imagine so. You hitting three birds with one stone. Not only are
Mhm.
you adding value to yourself and your brand, but you're
Mhm.
also putting, like you said, putting the light on the local businesses
Right.
and potentially driving more traffic there. But you're also informing the consumers, the
Right.
home buyers or the local citizens in regards to things that's going on in their area. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're just adding value all around with just that one activity. So I
Yeah.
that's genius to me, if you ask me.
And I learn a lot. I learned one of
That
the ones
part.
that we don't even have posted yet is the Savannah Bee Company, and I learned a whole lot
Mm.
about bees that day,
Yeah.
and all the things that they help produce that we need. Um, and I had bees all over me, and it was pretty exciting. So
Woo.
it was a fun day. It was a real fun
Yeah.
day. But I
Be-
mean, I would have never done that had it not been for this series. I would have never known
That's what I
all
was
that
gonna say. You
stuff.
you better than me because I don't know having all the bees on me. I'm not allergic, but I would. It just make my blood itch.
Yeah, if I was allergic, I don't think I could have done it. But
Oh
I
yeah, for
did.
sure.
It was kind of calming. He kind of told us,
Mm.
they're not, as long as you're not a threat to them, they won't bother
Right.
you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
worked. But yeah, I get to learn a lot. I get to share a lot. People. It's more. People know who I am. And they see me on the street and they're like, "Did you really da 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 da?" And it's like, "Yes, I did. I did," and it was fun. And you should
Nice.
go do it too. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay,
Mhm.
that just goes to speak on how active that you are in your community. You just took your own initiative. No one, first of all, makes you do that type of stuff. That's what you choose to do.
Yep.
It's an
Yep.
idea you had and you execute it.
Yep.
But even another example of that is spring pop up markets. You host spring
Yeah.
pop up markets. First of
Yeah.
all, before what is a spring pop up market? First and foremost.
So in the fall of 2020, yes, I got
Hmm.
approached by a friend. He wanted me to sell his property. It had a huge barn on it, and he had built it for his daughter to get married in about 10 years ago. And they kind of let other people use it, and we're like playing at a wedding venue type atmosphere there. And when I've been there before for a charity
Hmm.
event, and when I got there, it's also like a mile from my house, so it's really convenient. I got there and I thought I should buy this. Like I should just totally buy this. Like let's find out what he has in mind. And after talking to him, for a few minutes, I thought, yeah, I'm going to buy this because I do a lot of charity work, and this is
Okay.
perfect for a lot of things like that. So we do like Cure, which is childhood cancer, and we donate it to them
Hmm.
to use for their big events. We have another charity that we're a key sponsor, and it's SD Gunner, which is therapy dogs for
Mm.
wounded veterans and for compromised children. So we let them host a lot of their things there. And it just kind of grew and grew and grew. And then I thought the next, I bought it the day before Thanksgiving. So the next year I thought, a lot of the vendors, the crafters, the
Right.
people who make things and sell it have been really hit hard by COVID. This is an
Hmm.
open air kind of place. Like the barn can be completely open and it's 14 acres. There's plenty of
Oh
parking,
wow.
there's plenty of everything. So we just decided to do like a craft market, but we always do the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus.
There you go.
And so I thought, let's incorporate Santa Claus. We do free photos for Santa. and we post them all on our Facebook page, and you just go get them. We don't charge anything for them. And
Nice.
so I thought, let's incorporate Santa and let's just do it all together. And it was a huge success. So then I thought, well, we should do a spring one and we should do the Easter
Hmm.
bunny. So we did spring. And so this was our second year of doing fall and spring.
Right.
And they're amazing. And then we added in the Easter egg hunt, which, good Lord, that's a little bit of insanity
I
right
bet.
there.
Yeah.
But so we just did it last weekend,
Nice.
actually, last Saturday. And we
Mm.
had the Easter bunny there taking, with the free photos. We have our own mascot, and Savannah, who's a starfish, and she was there. And then we just had kids and families, and we have food trucks that come out. So we had
Mm.
6 food trucks, and we had 100 vendors, and it's just a free for all, but it is so much fun,
Yes.
and the community loves it, and it's free. I mean, the vendors pay for a space because we have to pay for the electricity, but
Of course.
other than that, it's just a community event, and it brings awareness to them. And my team is there, and they have their t-shirts
Mhm.
on. They get to network with the community a little bit, and um,
Mhm.
it's just a feel good for everybody. So we do
Yes.
it, and we love it, and it's a lot of work, but it is. You can't really do it wrong, like, because we
Mhm.
have everything kind of set up now. But we just have a really good time, and people appreciate it. So
Yeah, yeah. And that's another perfect example of literally like utilizing your resources and giving back to the community and taking initiative, something that you don't have to do. And that
right.
already answers my question, my follow-up question, which was why should agents even invest their time in hosting and participating in these type of events? And just like you said, like you're getting the community involved. It's absolutely free. You're
Yep.
doing it during a time where you can bring the Easter Bunny out. They can take free pictures. It's just brand awareness. It's just a beautiful thing. So it makes 100%. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't an agent, as a matter of fact, do
Hmm.
events like this, either hosting or participating? So
Yeah, and you
great
don't.
job.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do the whole thing. Like, I'm blessed that I have that event venue, but for years I didn't. And I still do it with them because she would die if I didn't. But I have a local restaurant that we do the Easter Bunny, and we're doing that this coming weekend. And the Santa Claus, we do it at her place because it
Mm,
brings a lot of traffic to her business,
look at you.
and people get really
Yeah.
upset if we don't. They start asking her months in advance. Is Teresa Cowart doing the Easter Bunny? Because we want to come get our picture made, and they get to eat and hang out with her. And I learned how to bus tables and take orders there. So
Word.
I
Nice.
actually will help them if they get really backed up, because they
Look
do get
at you.
backed up. So
Yeah.
we have a good time, though. It's a you know giving back is never wrong. It's just never wrong. Like, just
Absolutely.
just do it. But if you don't want to do that, if you can't do that, then participate another way. I
Hmm.
didn't start that way. I started with, being a sponsor and having a table, and giving away swag or whatever. Like, you do what you can. Like, not everybody can do it on the scale that I do it on now,
Correct.
but I didn't start there either. I started at a much
Mm.
a much smaller scale. So you do what you can until you can do what you can.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Thanks for that word, Teresa.
Mm.
Remax awards that you have received for your
Oh gosh.
su- su- success so far: Lifetime Achievement Award, Hall of Fame, and $1 Million Club. What do you think your
Yeah.
awards say about you and or your career?
Longevity, and
Mm-hmm.
just and continuing to do well year after year after year.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of them, I got Hall of Fame a long time ago. And $1 Million Club was the first one that you get. But there's been others along the way. The Lifetime Achievement, and there's actually one called Circle of Legends. I don't think I put that one on there, but
Okay.
you have to be with them for 10 years. You have to make a certain amount of money. And honestly, I got in the mail, and I thought, this looks like a mirror ball from Dancing with the Stars. Like, it's this big glass monstrosity thing. But
Wow.
it's a really big deal for an agent to
Nice.
be with the same brand for that
Mm-hmm.
long, and to
Mm-hmm.
hit the money, that because that was based on commissions or whatever. Now I have no idea where all that money went, but well, I do if I wanted to go back and look at my books, but I don't want to, because that would make me cry. But uh, it is. It just goes towards your commitment to the industry and your commitment to doing what you're doing. And obviously reputation for doing it well because people wouldn't work with you otherwise.
There it is.
Yeah,
There it is. Well, congratulations. Gotta show our respect to you
yeah,
for, your longevity and being acknowledged for your hard work. So respect for that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I will. It goes without saying that I don't do it by myself. I
Mm,
have an amazing team, and they work really hard.
there
And
you go.
so every award that I get is actually their award as well. And we just got another award. Well, we got two this week. One from Remax, or two from Remax, and then the Home Builders Association gave us an award as well for being the number one team in the area.
Nice.
And
Nice.
but
Nice.
Remax gave us the number two in the state, which they didn't give it. They just gave us the award for being number two in the state. And I mean, that's not something you do as an individual. That takes a whole team
Mm-hmm.
to do that, to beat out all those
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta agents. Yeah.
All right, people, are you listening to this? These are words of a great leader. She didn't take the credit for that. She said her team. All
Yeah.
right. Did you hear that? Her team. Great, great
Yeah.
example. Great
Yeah.
example of leadership right
They
there.
work super hard, and yeah, they deserve it.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Teresa, according to some estimates, a laundry room can recoup up to 77% of the renovation price tag when it's time to sell. What are some other parts of a home that can raise the value when renovated?
Kitchens and bathrooms. I mean, we hear that all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
I know
and
that.
then as you go, like outdoor space, if it's and it's always if it's done correctly. I mean, that goes without saying, I guess too. But it's always if it's done correctly. So if you can update a bathroom or a kitchen or make something larger, people really like closets as well. But um, the first house I ever built was a ranch, and it was on a lot of acreage.
Mhm.
And I just remember after about 3 years, my ex husband said, "We should just bulldoze this whole house because there's really nothing you like about it." And I thought,
What?
you could be right, and I wasn't even in real estate yet, but I wanted to change everything. And as the years went along, we were divorced, so he didn't get to be part of that. But I enlarged the master bathroom and closet, and I redid the kitchen, and did some other things along the way. But I think that people have to understand that there are some things that you do to your house that you will never get all the money out of. A pool, you're never going to recoup
Mm.
the money that you put into a pool in the backyard, or you
Mm.
most likely are not.
Right,
But
right.
if you really want a pool and you're going to enjoy the pool, then get the pool, and you can afford the pool, get the pool.
Right,
And
right,
it's the
right.
same thing with like a kitchen. Like, you have to renovate it so that you'll enjoy it. But you also, if you're not going to live there forever and it's not your forever home, then you need to always keep in mind that
Keep that in mind, yeah.
that the taste is very specific, then it might not appeal to other people. So,
Mm.
maybe you make it yours with paint or something that can be easily changed, and not with the funkiest granite out there, or
Right.
quartz or whatever. So, I mean, you just have to, like, the high dollar items, you should try to make them a little bit more appealing to the
Yeah.
masses.
Yeah. Oh my God. Teresa, you brought up such a solid point just now in regards to that. I'm thinking about all the random houses I drive by and see. I'm like, who paints their house red and blue? Like, I'm
Yeah,
like, what were you thinking?
that's
But
right.
I mean, that's people. I mean, I don't know. So for an example, there's a home here in Lansing. Lansing
Hmm.
is home of Michigan State.
Right.
But the rivalry school is Michigan. There's literally a home here they call themselves the Big House, and it's painted blue and yellow. It's like how like I hope you plan on staying there forever because that would be a hard thing to sell in a
And you'd
place
have to paint
that's
that. You'd have to
yeah
paint that
you
house.
have to
It would
that
be
is so
better if they
funny.
just put a little mascot out front and had a mailbox, a blue and gold mailbox. Yeah. But
Oh my goodness,
we have a
yeah.
lot of Georgia Bulldog sitting on porches
Mm,
around here.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
but they
I
don't
bet.
paint their house red and black. They just put a little,
Oh my
mascot
goodness,
out front.
I know, right?
So,
The fandom is crazy.
yeah, football,
Teresa.
especially college football, they are crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%,
Fans are
hundred
crazy.
percent.
Yeah.
Teresa, I want to ask you this question in regards
Hmm.
to commission.
Hmm.
I don't know if this is a private question and whatnot, but feel free to just guide it however you want. I want to know about clarity on real estate agent commissions. Should a real estate agent be transparent about their commission with their client? Why or why not?
Well, I don't know about other states, but in Georgia, it's on the Alta. So it's not like you
Mm.
can't see it on the settlement paper because it's right there.
Oh,
So they know exactly what I'm making or what we're making. But what they
gotcha.
don't understand is what comes out of it,
Mm,
and that sometimes is again educating our clients, and that they see, well, you made 12,000 or $15,000 on this deal, and it's like, no, 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 no. I have to, in my situation, they're splitting it with the team. They
right,
have to
right,
pay
right.
Remax the fees that they owe them, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And for me, there's marketing that comes out of it. I mean, when people see your 1099, they think, oh my God, you're killing it. No, 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 no.
Correct.
I'm also spending $75,000 a month paying for, online leads, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. So no, I don't get to keep all that money. If I did, I'd have a house on some tropical island, that I was
Right.
spending a lot of time at. But
Talk about it.
yeah, I mean, it's not, you don't get to keep all that. And that doesn't count taxes. You have to pay your taxes
Yeah.
out of that. I
Oh
mean, there's
man.
so
Ooh.
many, bits and pieces that that people don't understand, that comes out of that.
Yeah.
I don't get to walk away with the $15,000 it says on that piece of paper. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Uncle Sam's going to get 30%, and they're going to get this
Hmm.
percent, and they're going to get. So in the end, I'm still making a good living, but I also work hard for it.
Correct.
It's a very challenging and stressful occupation that we're in.
Hmm.
So, and we are
Yeah.
managing like the most imperfect product on the planet, and that is people and their emotions,
Ooh.
and
Ooh.
uh, and houses that we don't know a lot about, except for what's on paper. Like,
Yes.
you get
Yes.
the inspection report back, and you're like, what? Or you,
Right.
you know, so it's always something. There's always some. Like, I feel like I'm just like a firefighter a lot of times, just trying to figure out where the fires are, and trying to put them out for people before they get upset. Like, and a social
Mm.
worker the other rest of the time, just trying to talk people off the ledge.
Correct. Correct.
So,
Yeah. Well said, Teresa. See, that right there, that speaks a lot. A lot of people, I feel like a lot of people who may not be business savvy or business minded, they would think that you're just taking home whatever numbers right there. But like you said, come
mhm,
on, man. 35% is going to Uncle Sam. We got overhead, we got operation expenses. I mean, come on, man. Like we're not keeping this entire thing.
no,
But like I said,
right,
if you come from a business mindset, most people would understand that. But
yeah. But a lot of
whatever
people
you do, you
don't.
get what you deserve.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have a clue. Like, I'm not sure who you think pays all the people that work on my team. You know,
Exactly.
no. And we have to
Exactly.
tell realtors that too. Like, when they first join the team, when they're brand new, like,
Hmm.
this is how it works, and this is why. Because they're like, well, why do you get half? Well, because you have a transaction coordinator, you have a marketing person, you have
Yep.
inside ISAs, we have an operation, we have an accountant. We have all these people on the team, and they all get paid. We
Correct.
pay, again, 70 to $100,000 a month in marketing. Would you like that bill? Because every month
Exactly.
my American Express comes due.
Yep.
So once you start explaining it to them, and you're very transparent, which I am, then they understand why.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah. See, a lot of people don't realize the value that you're bringing. You're bringing those
right,
resources and those tools that you can't find anywhere else.
right.
So,
Well, and if you had
exactly.
to go out and pay for all that,
Oh,
could you or would you? And that that's just the way it is. Like, and again, I
correct.
didn't start out that way. I started out my first year 11,500 and some odd dollars in debt on my credit card, because I had to make some risky choices in order to
Hmm.
to get where I wanted to go. So, um, and there's a lot of things you have to do, a lot of fees you pay to the different associations we're part of, and signs and name tags and badges, and just all those things add up.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just keep
It's
all
not
those
like
in
working
mind,
for a
ladies and gentlemen.
corporation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
This is an entire business, ladies and gentlemen.
right,
So
right,
obviously it makes sense.
right, right.
Buyers are often considering both new construction homes and existing homes whenever they're finding one to kind of meet their needs. Teresa, what questions do you ask to help understand whether a client is more fitting for a new construction home or an existing home?
Well, I think it's really their expectations. Like we'll show you everything in your price range, that you're comfortable with, and
Hmm.
that doesn't really necessarily mean what you're approved for. That just means what you're comfortable with. Because a lot of people have great credit
Mm,
and can be approved for a lot, but they really want to stay in a certain level. And so we
gotcha,
show
gotcha.
them what they're approved for and what they're comfortable with, and whether it's new construction or existing. And they will typically tell you, like, I would like a bigger yard with trees, established landscaping or whatever. Well, that definitely is going to be an existing home because, most of the new construction, they clear out a bunch and it hasn't had time to grow back yet. So it's really what you're interested in. And then what's important to you as far as like the area, school district, and blah, 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 blah. So it's not just, I want a new home or I want an existing home. Because some people will tell us they want a new home or that they want an existing home and they end up buying the opposite once they
Mm,
start looking because they really
right, right.
didn't know.
Yeah,
Somebody told them that that's what they wanted, or their
right.
perception was, I only want to look at new homes because I don't want to live somewhere somebody else has. But then
Right.
when you go to the home that somebody has loved and taken care of and kept updated and has great yard and a deck and blah 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 blah, then that may be the perfect home for them.
Mm,
So we listen to them, but we also try to keep their mind open as well to other options because I mean, if you can't find what they want and what they said they want, then you have to go look for something else.
correct,
Um,
correct.
and like I say, sometimes they don't know what they really want.
Yeah. Well, I imagine in most cases you have to have a client that has some type of open mind, right? Dealing with a client who's just
Yeah,
so close-minded on a specific home or property type, it's probably the hardest to work with. So if you're dealing with someone who's a little bit more open-minded, like you said, they may go in wanting a new construction home. You say, hey, well, we actually find this existing home that kind of fits the exact criteria you were looking for. And
right.
oh, okay, we can make those adjustments like
Yeah.
that. So
And we have people who are super visual and people who aren't, and they
mm,
go into a home and they're like, yeah, there's no way I could live in this home. I hate that wall. I hate this. I hate that. And you're like, okay, well, if you like the location and you like, 70% of it, then you could maybe able to move that wall. Let's see if it's structural. Let's see if it's this. Let's see if it's that. Let's get
mm,
some pricing on it to see how much it costs to do that. And then they start thinking along those lines as well. Just
there you
because it
go.
looks like this today doesn't mean it has to look like this in 2 months.
Right.
So, do you have the money to do the renovations, or can we get you the money to do the reservation renovations? And is it something you're like? Some people are just like, I don't want to do a thing. I just want to move in with my boxes and be done.
Yeah.
And I understand that too, and I appreciate their opinion. So if that's what you want to do, then let's don't talk about moving walls. And then I have some
Gotcha.
people who want to redesign the entire house,
Whew.
and it's like you can't really do all that either. There are some walls here that are structural,
Right,
so
right.
but
To each his own. Make your
yeah,
home your
yeah,
home.
yeah. Some people think, oh, it's just carpet. I can get rid of that, and then other people are like, you know, I don't want to do anything. So it's
Yeah,
just, and then a lot of times they change their mind halfway through the process. That
yeah.
house that we saw yesterday, I really like that house. Like, I could probably get that carpet removed and it would be okay. And how much do
Right,
you think
after
that
you'd
would
already
cost?
saw the house, moved on to the next one, and yeah, and now you
Hmm.
thinking back.
Yeah. We
That's
always
funny.
kind of I do the whole find a house they like and then compare every house to that house. It's like, okay, you like
Mm,
123 Easy Street. Do you like this house better than 123 Easy Street? What do you like about this
mm.
house and we kind of talk about each one because I mean, that's my job is to try to
Right,
figure
right.
out what they really are looking for and try to find that or as close to that as I can get and then help them make the changes that make them love the house.
That's a good approach. That's a good
Yeah.
approach. I don't think I've heard that yet. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Before I get into my next question, I
Hmm.
want you to clarify something I don't think we necessarily clarified. your
Okay.
current market. Can you give a description of the current market that you serve to people who has never been there before? Is specific examples as possible? Maybe average pricing, average square footing, cost of living index, whatever you can give. Just give the descriptions.
So we are very fortunate in that, we live on the coast, but we also Savannah's our, what we say is our market, Savannah. But it's not
Savannah,
really
Georgia.
just
Yep.
Savannah, Georgia. It is, 4 or 5 counties around it, and we even go into South Carolina, Hilton Head, and Bluffton. So we have a pretty big area because I have agents that live in all these different areas. So I can tell you what an average price point is in in this area, or that, like if you're downtown, you're going to be in a higher price point if you're in the
For sure.
historic district. Okay.
For sure.
And there's going to be a little bit more of a bidding war. And then you
Mhm.
have some of the suburbs that, if you go north, you're going to get a little bit more house for your money. And if you go south, you're going to pay a little bit more. If it's the same exact floor plan that a builder builds, you're going to pay
Really.
more for it in Bryan County than you would in Effingham County. And the reason is that the the codes and the building practices in Bryan County are cost more money than they do in Effingham
Mm,
County for to the
mm.
builder. So that's reflected in the price of the home, and people don't understand that either until we kind of explain it to them. Well,
Oh.
why does the Cowart plan cost $30,000 more in Bryan than it did in Effingham? Well, because in Bryan they make you do all these other things. Um, and
Mm.
that's a county by county thing here that they can, and actually, even sometimes a neighborhood by neighborhood, because sometimes the HOAs have their own restrictions.
True.
And
True.
whatever the highest, most stringent restriction is, that's the one they have to abide by. Whether it's
Mm,
the state, the county, or the HOA, that's what they have to do. So sometimes it's the product. It has to be all hardy or brick, no vinyl, no this, no that. Or sometimes it has to be built up, to a certain elevation. So it's just
mm,
everything is different, and the general consumer doesn't have a clue how to do that. But
mhm.
I tell them the same thing, I would tell anybody, like, if you were a doctor, I wouldn't know your job either.
Correct. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
a mechanic. I couldn't fix my car if my life depended
Mhm.
on it. But I know real estate. So I
Right.
can
Right.
I can talk to you about real estate. So,
Mm.
you use the expert. Like you kind of listen to their
Exactly.
opinions and help let them guide you through that process.
Precisely. Precisely.
Mhm.
Great that you brought up some great points that moves us to the next part, because
Okay.
in Savannah, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, I've done research. It says many properties in Savannah specifically are located in flood zones, which can impact insurance costs and require additional maintenance and precautions. I think you pretty much touched on that. How do you deal with selling a home that's located in a flood zone?
Well, most of them are in some
Ooh,
flood zone. There's different levels of flood zone.
okay.
But then there are some that you would never think that wouldn't be in a flood zone, and they're not. My house, I live on the river. I'm not in a flood zone. I
Hmm.
live on a river that goes into the ocean. I'm not in a flood zone because the elevation of the land is so high, and then my house is
Mm.
actually even built up. So I'm not in a flood zone. And my garage used to be in a flood zone, and then the Corps of Engineers changed the flood map, so now I'm not. So I'm not required to have
Wow.
flood insurance. Now I do have flood insurance, but I'm not required to have flood insurance. So
Ah.
the bigger question is not whether or not the house is in a flood zone. The bigger question is, has the house ever flooded?
Mm,
Does the neighborhood flood? Like, yes, you may
mm.
have to have flood insurance. Um, Most people around here have it regardless whether they have to have it or not.
Right.
Just as a precautionary, because if you don't have to have it, it's super cheap. If you do have to have it, it's a little bit more expensive, but it is
Mm,
part of your mortgage. It's not something most people pay outside of it. And it's
gotcha.
not astronomical. Like, it can be anywhere from a couple $100, to a year, to, a couple $1,000 a month. Like, it just depends. Um, you also have to worry about uh, wind. Like, there are wind
Mm,
zones as well that will
really?
cause you have to have wind insurance. And then the government, in all their infinite wisdom, a few years ago, decided that I know, I'm sorry, that
No, that's funny.
a named storm was not covered. So
Wait,
yeah,
what?
if a flood, if a storm is named, it's not covered the same as if it were just,
What?
yes, I know. So not saying that it's not covered, but it's not covered the same. So my homeowners will not fix my roof if it's a named storm. So before, we would have these tropical storms come through, and I remember the first time it happened very distinctly because I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming because they've been talking about it. And I kept telling my clients, we have this hurricane coming. We're going to have damage. I need y'all to understand that if it's a named storm, i.e., any kind of hurricane or tropical depression that comes through Georgia, is going to be a named something. The insurance deductible is going to be higher. It's not your normal deductible. It's going to be higher. So when we had all these people that need all these new roofs, some of them couldn't afford to do the roof because the deductible was $10,000, and they were
Mm.
having to go get loans to put a roof on their house because. So I was grandfathered in, thank you Jesus, and a lot of other people were. But then people who bought a house, in the last 12 months or even 24 months, on some of them, were not grandfathered in. It just depended on how your policy was written. So there's always something that you have to be careful of. But I understand that hurricanes cost cost us all a lot of money, insurance companies and the government and everybody else. But it's not something that we all sit around and go, "Hey, let's have a hurricane. Let's get a new roof." So um, it hurt a lot of people in this area, and I think that's when people really started getting scared about flood zones, and
Yeah.
and they all freak out, about hurricanes. But I'm just gonna go on record and say I'd much rather have a hurricane than a tornado.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
Anytime.
hurricane, I can plan for it. We can even have a party if we need to. Like, I'm all about, I can plan for a hurricane. I can leave town. I can get out of the way,
That's a fact.
and I got 3 or 4 days to do it.
Yep, that's a
Whereas
fact.
a tornado is just devastating. You just
Sure,
never know
that's
when it's
true.
coming, and you can't get out of harm's way. So,
I'm sorry, Teresa. I have been it's been hard processing the fact that you said
oh
if they
no,
name a hurricane or storm, you're
your
not
deductible's
uncovered.
different.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, yo, that is the I, I
Google
thought
it.
they
I'm
named
telling you, it is.
everything. I thought they
They
named
do.
all hurricanes. Who
They
names the
do.
hurricanes? Is it the news? Because then I'll be mad at the news station.
No, it's the government agencies that name them, and it's
Oh
based
my
on the level of, it's based on the severity of the storm, I guess.
right,
But a
right.
hurricane is always named, no matter if it's a 1 or a 5. It's always going to be named. It's a named storm.
So that's
But
what I'm
then they
saying. So
started naming the tropical depressions who came through. That's where we started having an issue because we know it's a hurricane. We know it's
right.
going to be named. We got you. But then they changed this rule, and it was like the people who used to be able to get their houses fixed now couldn't get their houses fixed because the deductibles were so much higher. They're covered, but the deductibles not the $1,000 or $1,500. It's now a percentage of whatever you're trying to get fixed, and
Oh,
it just got to be a little. I mean, it just is a little crazy, and
oh my
I'm
goodness.
assuming that it. I know that there are some insurance companies that won't even insure certain areas
Mm,
of the country because of that. And I know that they take a hit when we have a storm. I get it,
yeah, yeah.
but you know, the big insurance companies and the government have just a little bit more money than my poor little seller there at one
I
two
know,
three Easy
right? I
Street.
know.
So
Oh my
it's just hard,
goodness.
and I'm sure they can apply for. I don't pretend to understand that whole process, but that was a big one for me to have to swallow and to have to explain to people that
I bet.
this is the way that this works, and you need to call your insurance company and find out if you're grandfathered
Whew.
in, if you're not grandfathered in, and how much it's actually going to cost you if you have to get something done.
Oh man, that was a tough pill to swallow. If there's anything I take away from this, it was that because I was today years old when I found that out. Teresa, they're saying Airbnbs can create additional competition for buyers and impact the character of some neighborhoods. Why is this a good or bad thing for the Savannah market, Airbnbs, etc.?
Whew, they have been a huge topic here. I
Mm,
mean, our downtown area, especially, um, people jumped into that like gangbusters when it first became kind of popular, and the city kind of like put the skids on it and said, no, you got to have a special permit, you got to do this, you got to do that, of course you got to pay us for the privilege of doing that, there's all
mm-hmm.
these things. So now if you buy a home and you want it to be a short-term rental like that, you have to get it approved, and there's a huge waiting list, and you have to have that certificate.
Oh
But if
wow.
you sell one that already has a certificate, that's a huge selling tool
Mm,
because the certificate stays with the house, not the owner.
okay.
So, and the
Like a
same thing
liquor
at the
license.
beach. Yes, the same thing at the
Yeah.
beach, and anywhere else. Now, there are some places that haven't aren't as prevalent for that, so they haven't they don't have such a stringent policy. But
Right.
downtown and the beach were just inundated with that, and they really put the skids on it and try to control it. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing,
Right.
but
Okay.
I think there needed to be some control. I think maybe they were a little bit excessive at some point, but they are trying to maintain the integrity of those two areas.
There you go.
And it was getting kind of where every other house at least was a short-term rental. And if you
Mm-hmm.
try to think about it from both sides, as an owner or an investor, that's really awesome. But as the person who lives next door, would you rather have a neighbor, or would you rather have people in and out
In and out.
24/7
Yeah.
all the time,
Mhm.
running over your sprinkler heads and, just having wild parties or whatever. And I'm not saying they all
Right.
do that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like it I understand they're trying to protect the general public as well. So
Right.
I do see both sides of that. As a human being, I'm like, you can't tell me what to do with my house. And then but as the
A
potential neighbor
citizen.
next
Yep.
door, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe I want a little bit of oversight
Yep.
on who's getting
Stability.
them and who's not getting them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And how
Yeah. I
they're
talked to different
managing.
agents in different markets about that in some cases. And you pretty much get the same response. Different people feel different ways. But yeah, those short-term rentals is definitely something to start noting. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
great.
they're there and people are doing it, and I mean, I get it. I understand.
Yeah. Me too.
I
Yeah.
mean, but at the same time, I understand the neighbor who doesn't want it next door to him. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us here and taking out time to join us on the closing table, Teresa. Great, great talk, man. I learned a lot today. Before we
Hey.
get out of here, if you have any last words and or want to tell the people how they can reach out to you, please do so now.
Okay. Well, if you can't find me, you're not looking hard enough. A. So, my email is Teresa at teresacowart.com, but our website is very easy, teresacowart.com. And phone number is 912-525-0900.
All right.
We cover Savannah and about 100 miles in any direction, pretty much. And I have a huge, amazing team, and there's always somebody to talk to. Like you can never say you can't get us because there's always somebody to talk to. And we love, 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 love what we do. Like we don't believe in practicing on the public. We are all well trained, and we've been doing this for
Mm.
a while. And we love our clients. We treat them like family, and it shows, obviously. So we would love to talk to you if you're thinking about moving into this area.
All right now. Please contact Teresa Cowart of the Teresa Cowart team. Very, very knowledgeable about her market. Thank you again for joining us, Teresa. Hey, you watching right here on YouTube? I need you to do us a favor. Hit the like button. Yes, hit that like button with the thumb. Also, hit the share button and subscribe to our channel. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, a 5-star rating, and subscribe for our latest content. Here's a question for our audience before we leave, Teresa.
Okay.
Do you discuss your agent's commission prior to working with them? Why or why not? Leave your comments below. Other than that, we will see you next time.